You read it right on the thumbnail. The Kickstarter for Terror is now live. I would like to use this video to catch all of you up on the development of Terror and where we are 2 months later. First thing I'll say is I have never learned this much and completed so much work in this amount of time in my life. In just 8 weeks, the skills and knowledge I gained would have taken me a year or more. I have been working on Terror for over 3 years and have never felt this close to finishing it. The first subject I decided to tackle was animations. I have never worked on animations with Blender, Unreal, or any modeling software before, but I was able to develop a consistent, reliable workflow to create animations in Blender, then import/implement them to Unreal Engine. And because of that, I now have a pre-made architecture of animation systems that I could simply update on command with better animations in the future. On the second week, I intended to work on the visual effects for the abilities of the Lost character. I dived headfirst into Unreal's Niagara system, also a first time for me. But I was able to gain a basic understanding of manipulating particles and how to utilize them in the ways I intend. Week 3 was when I started working on the audio design for Terror. I took my Tascam recorder and began recording sounds for Foley. I had a lot of fun recording these sounds along with editing them after in FL Studio, and halfway through the week I had all my placeholder sounds ready to go. But when implementing them into the Unreal Engine, I realized that the engine's built-in audio architecture wasn't robust enough for what Terror required, and a lot of the basic functions that I needed weren't available. I then discovered Fmod, an amazing audio plugin that gives me nearly all control over sounds and audio. And within a few days, I mastered the third-party software and was able to implement the audio into Terror. For example, with Fmod, I am able to control parameters of effects like volume, reverb, EQ, and the gain of audio on command in-game. This was a massive upgrade to Terror's audio and a well-spent week. In the final week of the first month, I started modeling my first 3D model in Blender. I was familiar with Blender's animation posing system, but I'd never made or customized a model in any 3D program, let alone a soft body model like a humanoid. But I was able to get a handle on Blender, learning things as simple as what vertices are and as complicated as how to weight paint a rig. But by the weekend, I was able to import my first original model. It still needed polish, but the learning process was invaluable. For the next month, my goal was to dedicate all of my time polishing and improving my placeholder assets I created the month before. This included smoother animations, better effects, crispier audio, and a complete Lost model, armor and all. But as game development goes, I had to address a few setbacks due to old code. The Lost had built up some major tech debt, meaning old code and bad habits from 3 years ago were causing bugs and biting me in the butt. So in the next 2 weeks, I had reconstructed the entire movement and ability systems for the Lost. 3 years worth of logic, rewritten and reorganized in 2 weeks. There's still some wrinkles to iron out, but the gameplay has never felt this smooth and reliable as it does now. For the last 2 weeks of the second month, I did get a little sidetracked at the beginning and began creating more custom objects and physics interactions. They were to add to Terror's physics gameplay loop and just be more engaging for the players. But after adding a few new physics interactions, I realized an underlying issue with the project. Physics were not working online over the internet. In fact, online didn't work at all. Terror was not even playable since the online networking was entirely flawed. When I originally wrote the code, I was following outdated YouTube tutorials for older versions of the engine. This left my logic riddled with broken code and bad practices. So I made a mad dash to correct this immediately. I made it my mission to better understand Unreal Engine 5 and the nature of online games. It did pay off greatly, with me eventually rewriting all of my networking logic, not only fixing Terror to the point where it is playable and working entirely with Steam's API, but all physics were fixed and working properly as well. So even though I wasn't able to spend my second month polishing the art of Terror, I was able to get invaluable work done on the project and improving every aspect of the game under the hood. Now, with such a strong foundation and new learned skills, I am more than confident that moving forward, Terra is very much on the fast track to completion. In my announcement video for Terra, I mentioned that I wanted to test how much work I can get done in 2 months, to see if a Kickstarter would be worthwhile endeavor and if 7 more months would be enough time for me to finish the game. And now I have my answer. I wouldn't want to do anything else in my life than to create great games, and hopefully I could get enough support from you to continue my dream. If you want to play Terra when it releases, or simply want to help me succeed, I highly encourage you to pledge to my Kickstarter. Link is in the description, and you can pledge what you can. If you are unable to pledge, that's perfectly okay. Just being here with me, watching this video, is enough. Thank you. And that just about wraps up today's devlog. I am excited to share more with you all in the future. In fact, tonight we will be playtesting Terra on stream, and backers will have a chance to play with us on a very early build. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And again, thank you.